Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're so pleased to see all of you here at the Wilton Land Trust annual meeting. We hope you had a chance to chat with each other and enjoy some refreshments. I see some of you guys are still enjoying refreshments, but grab your snacks and your drinks and come on down and grab a chair. We've got a great program planned for you guys. You can see the agenda here. Our outgoing president of the last 4 years, Steve White, is going to share with us some exciting highlights from 2024, as well as some plans for 2025, as he talks about the state of the land trust and specifically provides updates on our Chestnut Meadows property. Next up will be our executive director, David McCarthy, providing excerpts from his executive director report and speaking about some of the amazing things that we've accomplished together this year, which we can only do with the support of all of our members and our volunteers. Our program will close out tonight with our keynote speaker, Anthony Pierlioni. Okay, I needed instructions on how to pronounce that. We're so pleased to have Anthony here with us. He's an author, a world-traveling conservationist, and a VP of TurtleRoom, where their mission is to advance the survival of the world's turtles and tortoises, and he's brought some friends with him tonight. Before I turn things over to Steve, I'd like to share with you this lovely photo of some of our Board of Trustees, many of whom are here tonight, and they're tasting to the completion of the reconstruction of the beautiful Daniel Offutt barn at Chestnut Meadows. Now, I'm not in this photo, and I don't understand what happened here, but somehow I missed an opportunity for wine and toasting, which if you guys know me, know I typically do not miss these things. Finally, I just want to share with you, if you were not in the earlier meeting for the members, that we have a new slate of officers who are listed here. Our president, Craig Johnson. Craig's not with us this evening. He and his wife, Kim, are away on a fantastic vacation in Patagonia. And then for VPs, we have Mike Foster and myself, our treasurer, Mark Rice, and our secretary, Rob Salmon. Now, let me turn things over to Steve.
Thanks, Marlen. Hi, everybody. I'm the guy that just lost his job. So I'm Steve White. I'm the ex-president. Craig Johnson is the new president, and he's not here. Now, I did the same thing last year. I was away on a vacation of a lifetime. Craig is away on a vacation of a lifetime that he'd set up a long time ago. So he asked me to stand in and say a few words in his place. So here we go. First of all, I want to thank the board, and I say this because we spent a lot of time together, this board and I, over the last few years, particularly the executive committee. I want to give a big thanks to Craig for agreeing to step up and serve as president, even though he's not here tonight. I want to say a big thanks to Roger Valkenburg, who was here earlier. I think he was a little bit under the weather. He may have stepped out. Roger's been our vice president for 4 years. Steady hand, old Wilton guy, great guy to have on the board with you. I want to say thank you to Mike Foster, always enthusiastic, passionate, loves a challenge, a dog with a bone, some people would say. Mike was there and did a lot of things with us in the last many years. Rob Salmon, who's been secretary. Rob's a great guy for structure, a law and order guy. Thank you, Rob. And he really helped us finish off the landscaping component of the 183 Ridgefield Road. And to Mark Rice, who's stepping back up to the executive committee now as the treasurer. Mark was with us before as secretary and then spent a couple years off the executive committee. Mark is the guy who everybody else can take a page to say something. Mark can do it in a sentence beautifully. So Mark is a great guy to have around. I want to thank Marlen Marlen came new to Wilton about 3 or 4 years ago, announced herself to the Land Trust as available to do join us and do some work. And she started out with a stewardship group, quickly became the chairman of the stewardship group, and now she's one of our vice presidents. I think she's going to be running it pretty soon, and I hope so. She's terrific. Want to say thank you to David. David joined us about 5 years ago. David joined a sleepy organization that really was not doing much. And he has been very instrumental in picking us up by our bootstraps, putting us on the map, and giving the Land Trust a real name around town again. So thank you, David. And of course, thank you to our members who are here. Thanks for coming out tonight. I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some unfamiliar faces. I'll talk to you later. We need more people to join our organization here. I want to thank our donors. Now, when you think about a donor, that's kind of a boring name. A donor. What is a donor? Is somebody who gives money. Well, think of it this way. This is hard-earned money that they give out of their pocket to our cause because they believe in us. And we love that. We need plenty of it. Thank you, donors. So we just voted in a new slate of officers. And really, that's not such a big deal. It shouldn't be such a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal because you have to have a leadership that keeps going. Now, I've been president for 4 years. I didn't want to be president anymore. The organization shouldn't be about the president. It should be about the organization. We see organizations where somebody stays in the organization too long, and the organization has to mold to the person. It's the wrong way around. The organization should have its own life. And in order to do that, you need a pipeline of people who are going to move through and take on these new positions every so often, every 2 years. This is the way we've got it set up now. The Land Trust is its own institution, and we need this pipeline of people to come through, take these jobs, and occupy them and make the Land Trust a better place. David, are you keeping track of my slides for me? Thank you. So we managed a successful succession of officers. Just happened about an hour ago. We did it. There were some issues along the way, but we're going to do it better next year. And the reason why it's going to be better next year is because we're slowly putting into place the procedures, the boring organizational stuff that matters in a little organization like the Land Trust. We're putting in place things that needed to be done. So we've updated the bylaws. We've made a strategic plan now. So we have a view of where we're going and what we're going to do next. This simplifies life because now we have a common vision of where we're going. We've got growing revenue, no small issue. This little Land Trust 5 years ago really wasn't having much revenue and wasn't going very well. Now it's going beautifully. And the revenues, as you saw in the graph earlier that David showed, revenues are coming up and up and up. We have an investment policy. These are some of the things that are the beginning of getting ourselves organized. And it's going to keep going after I'm through. We have had a great executive director. We're going to talk about David in a minute because David's moving on now. But David has given us the vision. He's given us the language, the brand, I call it, of the Land Trust, so that we have a common approach now. Things that we put out come out in that language. They're understandable by the public as this is what the Land Trust looks like. And this is very important. We, the Board of Trustees, has a common vision. Now, when we all sat down to start to write the strategic plan, we hadn't really talked about what is our vision for this organization. And as we went around the table and said, "What's important to you? Why are you here?" the story was very similar. Each one of us told the story about having grown up in an area where there was open space around. It was meaningful to them. And they wanted to see that in the town of Wilton, and they wanted to see it generally. Land preservation, land conservation in our area was important to them. So that's our common focus and our common vision that allowed us to make this strategic plan to move this organization forward. So I want to take a few minutes to talk about Chestnut Meadows. As Mike said earlier, we finally have gotten our certificate of occupancy. This was a very long road. If we had known what we know now at the start, would we have done it, Mike? Maybe not. Maybe not. It was a long, tough road. This started out in 2015 when the Schlichting family sold this property to the developer, Jim Fever. At that time, this wasn't on our radar at all. As a matter of fact, when it did come on our radar, we thought, this seems like too big a job for us. We had never done anything like this before. But some bolder members of the board said, come on, we've got to try this out. The town isn't going to do it. This is what the land trust can do. And we did. So we started talking to Jim Feber. He realized that he had a problem on his hands, and he kind of sought us out. So that was in our favor. But back in 2018, we signed a contract to purchase the property from Jim. Then about a year later, we were in contact with the Offutt family, who had this wonderful barn. We have a picture of the barn up there. Where? Next slide. Okay. This is George. Okay, this is so my slides are a little out of order. So this is George Bauer, who was the first big believer in what we were doing to purchase 183 Ridgefield Road. He came to us. We went to him. Mike went to him, and he came to us with $750,000, and that was what really put us over the edge. With that money, then we felt we really could maybe pull this off. So we applied to the state of Connecticut for a grant called the Osawa Grant, Opens Water and something or other, blah, 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 blah grant, for $700,000. We had to put together, in order to apply for that grant, we had to put together a 3-ring binder that was that thick. It had 30 letters in it from all the town people and all the politicians, from everybody who's anybody around town. Some of these letters we had to go and be in hearings at the town hall and fight with the first selectman to get her approval to sign the letter saying this was a good idea. So all these things were going on. So we made an arrangement with the Offutt family to take the barn, and then incidentally, Rick Pariseau, is Rick here by any chance? Everybody knows Rick. Rick was the guy who put us onto the Offutt family. We looked at the barn and said, we can move that barn over here with some alterations. Then we found out that there was some money to be had at the Offutt Foundation. So we went to work on them, and they ended up giving us a big dollop of money with which we were able to move the barn over and reconstruct it in a new format. So that happened in about 2020. So in 2020, late in 2020, we got the permit from the town to start construction of the barn. And in 2021 is when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, all the progress that we're making just kind of ground to a halt. We had a few permitting problems, but then the workers were not there and everything slowed down and it took forever. We found out that 70% of the timbers that we had taken over from the Offutt barn were rotted out. We couldn't use them, so we had to buy in new timbers around which we built this barn. So finally, we finished the barn in 2022, and then we had the blow up with the town. So in the town rules, there is no such rule that says you can build something like this in Wilton and call it anything you wanted to call it. We tried to call it all different things. The town wouldn't let us do it without applying for a special permit, which required all kinds of things. Among them, we had to relocate the driveway, which cost us what did that cost us, Mike? A lot. A bloody fortune. Well said, Mike. So we spent a bloody fortune on the new driveway, but we had the foresight to have a landscape architect, so we ended up with a beautiful plan. We have our architect here. Is Rob Sanders here? Rob, thank you very much for designing a beautiful barn for us. Is Sylvia here by any chance? Probably not. She designed a beautiful plan, the outdoor classroom for us. So once we got through the Planning and Zoning Commission and got all that straightened out, got the new driveway going, we finished construction in June of 2024. And from then until now, we've waited for permits. Now, this has been one of the most frustrating things we've ever been through. Nobody ever says why you're not getting the permit. It's just that it's not there yet, and you can't do anything without it. So we beg and we plead and we talk to people, and finally, after 9 months, we got the permits. So this whole project has taken 7.5 years. I don't want to tell you how much money it cost us, but a bunch. And as I say, if we were to do it all over again, we might not actually do it. But if we were to do it all over again, we'd do it a lot better and a lot faster. And we'd be smarter. We wouldn't make so many dumb mistakes as we did along the way. So now the snow is melting up there. The grass is starting to grow back in. We've got our certificate of occupancy. We're going to have opening event there in May, maybe a couple of them. We're going to start doing outdoor education in our beautiful classroom. This place is open to the public. I think it's sunrise to sunset every day of the year. The barn will not be open unless a land trust people are there on the site, but anybody's free to walk up there, park. There's beautiful paths mown through the meadows. Walk around there. It's one of the most beautiful meadows in Wilton that you can just walk through and just clean your mind by walking through it. So with that, I'm going to open up to ask if there's any questions about any of the things I've said or about the barn or anything else. If there are no questions, I'm going to move on to the next phase, but I'll give everybody a chance to think if they have a question or not. I don't see anybody that thinks they have a question. So I want to next move on and introduce David McCarthy, who is our executive director. David's been with us for about 5 years. He helped build our Sleepy Little Land Trust, rebuild our Sleepy Little Land Trust from what it was to what it is now. He's been the careful branding message behind all the communications that go out from the land trust, all the beautiful graphics and the beautiful emails and his wonderful way of describing things is all David's work. He has built a substantial following in the organizations around town, the other nature organizations, the environmental organizations around town. He's built great relationships with many of our members and donors, and of course of our board. He leads with energy, warmth, and enthusiasm, and we're going to sorely miss him. He's taken a job with Joshua Trust up in northeastern Connecticut, and he'll be leaving us the end of March. We'll be looking for a new guy to replace David. So with that, I'd like to ask David to come up, tell us a little bit about what he's been up to at the Land Trust, and then he's going to introduce our feature speaker for the night. David?
I'm not David. And I've asked Steve to stay up here. So we're kind of ambushing him a little bit. Don't be afraid. It's okay. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Couple of things. First, I have Craig Johnson, who's in Patagonia. It feels terrible without being here, and he would like me to read a very brief statement from him, fundamentally praising our outgoing president, Steve. So I'm just a messenger. I didn't write this. It's just a warning. Steve, I'm sorry I cannot attend this meeting this evening and honor you. I'm currently out of the country on a trip that has been planned for years. However, in my stead, I've asked Mike Foster, I'm just reading this, I have asked Mike Foster to do his best imitation of me. I hope he can live up to that awesome responsibility. Many of you know, but some of you may not know, that our president, Steve White, has retired from the Wilton Land Trust effective about an hour ago. Steve has been on the Land Trust for almost 20 years. I can honestly say that there are very few members of the Land Trust who've shown as much dedication to our mission as Steve has. His departure will leave a gaping hole in our organization, and although I am sure he would rather not have us honor him, we're going to do it anyway. Steve, you've guided the Land Trust through the most challenging time in many years. We've revised the Land Trust and built it into a very prominent organization. And with your help and leadership, we were able to buy the beautiful meadow at 183 Ridgefield Road and transform it into Wilton Land Trust's new home, now known as Chestnut Meadows. There he is. The construction of the barn was particularly difficult, and we had meeting after meeting trying to design driveways, entrances, stone walls, septics, etc., etc., etc. It's a very long list. I skipped over the list. Throughout all the fits and starts, you maintained a clear vision and a steady hand. It's a rare person who can corral all the disparate interests and the conflicting egos in an organization like this, but you did it well, time after time. I said to you years ago that you were the right person to lead the Land Trust, and I can say now, I was right. Once again, this is Craig. This is not me. Okay. Steve, we now have a little gift for you that we hope will remind you of your success in creating Chestnut Meadows. And no, Steve, it's not a towel. I have a towel that's covering the gift. I think it's a towel. Anyway. Can you hold it? You want to take a picture? Is Maya Rodriguez here? No. This painting was done by Maya Rodriguez. Some of you people may know her. She's a local artist, and everybody on the board chipped in with the ideas. We came up with this. Craig did lead the way to get it done quickly and get it framed properly. And we all think that we all really love and enjoy giving you this gift as a going away present, Steve. Unfortunately, there's a few more sentences. I'm sorry. This is Craig. Okay. Steve, it is our hope you will hang this in a prominent place in your home, and going forward, you and Ann can see in this painting all that you helped the Wilton Land Trust accomplish. Thank you, my friend. I look forward to many walks with you at Chestnut Meadows and all the other Land Trust trails you have worked so hard to preserve. I wish you all the best. And now he said, ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah, you don't want to say anything, or you want to say anything? All right, without further ado, here's the real David.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you. And Steve, here, I have a little something for you too. It's not as cool as a painting, but it's a thumbs up.
for you to remember all the great work you did. I just want to say it was great working underneath you, Steve. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is David McCarthy. I want to say, Steve, wonderful presentation, and thank you so much for all the kind words. And a congrats to our 2025-2027 officers, and a special thank you to our returning trustee, Brett Amaro, with a new drive and a new charge to recruit youth involvement into the Wilton Land Trust. I'll move through my report pretty quickly to leave room for the highlight of the evening, which is our guest speaker, Anthony Pierlioni. Yes, okay. All right. So my name is David, as I said, and for the past 5 years, I've proudly served as Wilton Land Trust's first full-time executive director. As you've heard, however, this will be my last annual meeting as our executive director. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for the 5 incredible years I've spent with the Land Trust. These years have been filled with wonderful memories, rewarding opportunities, and invaluable experiences. I've truly appreciated being a part of such an organization dedicated to such important work, and I'm grateful for the chance to have contributed to its mission and growth. I will proudly carry forward with me the lasting connections I've made here in Wilton. It's a bit of the end of an era for the Wilton Land Trust, but with every chapter closed, a new one begins. The future of the trust shines brightly, led by committed trustees, stewards, members, and volunteers who will ensure its continued success. Our mission matters. Combating habitat loss and enriching and engaging the community, preserving open space. Our landscapes are not just scenic, they're essential for biodiversity, clean water, and quality of life. Over the last 61 years, we've made great strides in preserving land in Wilton. But the future holds some challenges. Skyrocketing land costs, developmental pressures, environmental threats like climate change. Land is disappearing at an alarming rate due to residential and commercial expansion. And once it's gone, it's gone. The chances of returning land sold from being open space or a forest or a meadow back to conservation is almost impossible. So a question for anyone in the room, if you're on the board, don't answer, but how many acres has the Wilton Land Trust conserved together with its members? Yeah, you're not on the board. Yeah, he's a cheater. Yes. He was on the board. What? 650, no. Close. Yeah, it's about 850, 840. Yeah. Now, how about in New Canaan, our neighbors, roughly? What do we think? 400. Spot on. How about Stanford? 450. How about Darien? 220. And Norwalk, our neighbors to the south? 84. Now, I don't share this to gloat, like who conserved more. I share as a proud neighbor because they're doing something which is becoming ever more difficult in our area. They're actively preserving open space, connecting people with nature, and they're running an intact organization. There are many land trusts in our area that no longer exist for many reasons, but some of the most common themes are the board doesn't grow, evolve, recruit new trustees, they become unable to connect with their community, raise funds, their work becomes overwhelming, they age out, and their land trusts go under. I'd invite you to land trusts like Weston, Fairfield, Monroe, or my hometown of Shelton, but you can't because they're gone. and they've now since merged with the Aspetuck Land Trust. But thankfully, there are great people in Wilton, like the great people here in this room who care about the future of open space. And here at the Land Trust, we're helping our neighbors create their lasting legacies through gifts, through land, through acquisitions, through programs. We're making our mission matter. So, through contributions, volunteering, partnering, interning, and leading, you're making sure the Wilton Land Trust and its open spaces are here to thrive from now and into the future. Thank you. It's a very exciting time for the Wilton Land Trust. 2024 was another year of fantastic growth and accomplishment and impact. It's people. Sorry, I require my water, which I left over there. Thank you, Rob. It's people that make the difference. It's people that make Wilton, that make the Wilton Land Trust function. There we go. Where was I? Let's wing it. I'm incredibly proud of our team at the Wilton Land Trust, our board of trustees, and our bookkeeper, Lee Rostetter, of Christian Malone, our programs and intern manager. He's in the back. There he is in the overalls. Thank you, Christian. Our high school interns who just left, Isla, Brody, and Afraz, and our 2024 college interns, Kayla, Elizabeth, and Clarissa. And most importantly, you, our members, friends, volunteers, partners, neighbors, thank you for supporting and advancing our mission. In 2024, we made a lot of progress, pretty much on every front. Together, we supported endangered wildlife, protected water quality and habitat, restored native forests and meadows, but more importantly, we furthered and built a community that's centered around nature. We're a membership organization, and our efforts depend solely on you, our members. You all made this possible. And in 2024, as you've seen earlier, we made a lot of progress at Chestnut Meadows. For instance, transforming this space into this space, an outdoor amphitheater educational center to continue our educational programs here into the future. Stewardship Sundays is one of the first things I created when I joined the organization back in 2020. Now it's one of our flagship programs and a model of community engagement and all age inclusivity across the state. It's a free, hands-on, and educational program designed to empower people of all ages to make a tangible difference in their community by volunteering to fix trails, plant trees, rip up invasives, you name it. It's for all ages, and it's open to anyone in the community who wants to help. And that's my daughter, Clara, there on the left. Well, the right. There's Christian, hard at work. Marlen. Where am I here? Stewardship Sundays are they progress our efforts to enhance biodiversity, remove invasive species, restore habitat, but more importantly, engage the community in nature. It's my wife, they're pregnant with Miles, and there's Miles. There's me holding, dirt. And there's me and my daughter Clara, and my wife and my daughter Clara. I just wanted to showcase this, not selfishly, but to demonstrate that we all worked that day. This is for everyone. There are people from in their 90s down to 6 planting trees, and it's actually making a difference. And we celebrate these impacts and the connections we make with a end of the season finale, both in the spring and the fall. And yes, we do get pizza delivered into the woods. It is wild if any of you have ever tried to do that. Where are you? We're in the woods. So let me just find where I am. I'm so sorry. Oh, there you are. I invite you all to check this program out a little bit. It's on our website, and the spring dates will be put up pretty soon. Speaking of progress, as you've heard, revenues are on the rise, and this is the 5th largest giving year in a row. And support for our critical mission is growing through contributions, volunteerism, partnerships, and corporate support. In 2024, we established new connections with our members, neighbors, policymakers, and local leaders, and together, we're fostering Wilton's connections to nature. As you know, nature is for everyone. An open space brings about fresher air, cleaner water, and an improved state of mental health. If you're ever having a hard time, I guarantee you a meadow is your answer. I'm not just kidding. Go in a meadow. How many of you have been in a meadow? How many of you have not been in a meadow? Oh, that's excellent. All right, this is my crowd. Partnerships. Oh, let me go back because that's important. Partnerships like this here, Turtle Time, or Live Turtle Expo, are helping to really engage people and to expand the impact. So it's like, you want to come out and plant a tree? No. Do you want to see a turtle? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And so this is what it looks like when you see a live snapping turtle at Turtle Time. And you'll learn more about that from our guest speaker. We're connecting people with the story of the American chestnut tree and its history. We're connecting people with the great outdoors through our Sunset Lantern Walk. We're connecting people with what's threatening our birds of prey through our rehabilitated raptor release program in partnership with Wildlife in Crisis. We're connecting our seniors with nature through our wellness walk program in partnership with Stay at Home in Wilton. We're connecting poets with open space through our Poetry in the Preserve program, and that's in partnership with the library and the Poetry Society. Immersive partnerships like Trekking Together in partnership with Woodcock Nature Center is helping connect people with the wonders of the forest and the birds that depend on them. We're connecting people with the mysterious lives of raptors through our Birds of Prey program with Christine's Critters. Young children and families are coming out to connect with nature through our Books in a Blanket program in partnership with Wilton Library and Wilton Go Green, which I just learned today that this original program is being honored by Wilton Go Green's 3rd annual Community Awards celebration, and will be receiving a Green Community Partner Award. So I'm very excited about that. Thank you. I don't know if Tammy's still here or not, but thank you, Tammy. We're connecting people of all ages with biodiversity. Again, that's my daughter, Clara, and who's come to pretty much most of these programs, and I really wish she could be here tonight. I wrote her a little note explaining that I'd be talking about her. But thanks to your membership, we're connecting. Oh, I skipped one. My slides are out of order. But thanks to your membership, we're connecting a lot of not just people, but also partners like ASML, corporations with our workdays. And if any of you have been to the Gregg Preserve lately, you will notice a big dent in the euonymus there. And that's all thanks to ASML. We're connecting young Boy and Girl Scouts with our mission through special projects and workdays. And the Land Trust is connecting the dots between wildlife and conservation. Our mission connects us with the community, and I'm proud to share that our community has come together to plan and host the first ever Wilton Community Film Festival to be held March 29th. The details and tickets are on sale on our website. We have a poster back there as well with a QR code if you're interested in purchasing tickets. Our 840 acres is more than land. It's an abundance of opportunity to engage, inspire, and connect with the greater Wilton community, which is why we continue to update and improve our open space and trails map, working with volunteer Wallace Lee, who I believe is here, right over there, who developed this map. Can we have a round of hands for Wallace? He made this map. It was about 6 months of Zooms and is this yours or the town's? And, we figured it out. But what's super cool about this map, and I'm going to encourage you all to pull out your phones right now and see if this works, first of all, because I'll be embarrassed if it doesn't. But you can load this map on your phone, and at any time, yeah, go ahead. Oh, great. So as soon as you get it, if you click that button right there, it will pull you right to where you are now, geolocation, but you can then scroll around and find any preserve around you. So if you're like, I need a meadow, this is the keys to the kingdom. And we weren't selfish. We had the opportunity to do what everyone else did and map their open space. So if you want to go to the state of Connecticut, it's the state of Connecticut. If you want to go to the town of Wilton, it's the town of Wilton. If you want to go to we mapped all the open space. We did create a toggle between other and us so you can kind of see the impacts. But we mapped every open space and every trail in Wilton, and it's all at your fingertips. And no other town has something like this. It's proprietary and it's a marvel, and I hope more people learn about it. Okay, so Chestnut Meadows, as you heard, it's history that's, well, finally history. I'm personally very grateful for everyone that made purchasing this possible and made building this possible. And Chestnut Meadows and the Offset Barn will dramatically increase our capacity to galvanize support for conservation, to create and host recreational and educational programs, and again, connect with the greater Wilton community. It was quite challenging inviting people to, if you go past the oak tree and then you take a left, there'll be a little sign by the side of the road, we're down the wood. That was kind of challenging. This at least will have an address. Chestnut Meadows is helping, I'm hoping that it will help to further inspire conservation in Lower Fairfield County, which is becoming a challenge. And the preserve is helping save the American chestnut tree from the brink of extinction. The orchard serves to not just preserve, but educate visitors to the tree's history. There's a kiosk there. Once you come, you'll see it. And this May, we'll be planting the final 20 to bring the orchard from 80 to a full 100. I invite you to check it out. Our trees are healthy and strong, and as you can see here, some are already taller than me. And when these go on the ground, they're a nut. They're an actual chestnut. So in 4 years, it's over my head by maybe like 3-4 feet. Finally, 2025. Well, what's going to happen this year? Thanks to a growing interest and support for our mission, we're able to do more than ever before, and we've got some pretty big plans for 2025. In 2025, we'll focus our efforts across the board to deepen connections with the community, strengthen partnerships with local organizations and schools, enrich the Wilton community by engaging residents in our mission and conservation activities. Now that Chestnut Meadows is complete, we'll expand conservation and land acquisition. We'll bolster efforts to secure major grants and funding. Moreover, we'll continue to enrich the Wilton community by engaging residents in everything that we do. We're only limited by our capacity, which is growing more and more every year. And thanks to your support, we've been able to increase our team's impacts. And I invite everyone to get involved in our mission. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, I'll miss you too. I'll miss everyone. Thank you. So without any further ado, while he's maybe getting his presentation set up, I will, what's the word I'm looking for here? Announce you? Introduce you. Thank you. Jesus. It is my great pleasure to introduce the highlight of the evening, our keynote speaker, Anthony Pierlioni. He's an author, world-traveling conservationist, and vice president of the TurtleRoom.
This is awkward.
It is, because you're right here. He's published articles in Reptile Magazine USA, the Batagur USA, the Radiata
Yeah, Radiata
in Germany, and the
Testudo
Testudo in Italy, and Trionyx
That was pretty good, actually. I think it was the best one.
Trionyx in Netherlands. His first book, Black-Breasted Little Leaf Turtles, The Natural History. Is that what it says? Yeah, it's
Black-breasted leaf turtles. They are little, but you made them sound more comical
They're
than
tiny.
they are even. Yeah.
The Natural History, Captive Care and Breeding of Geomydea Spengerlia. Yeah. No, he can't introduce himself. There's a lot of words here I don't know.
I'm making that really difficult
And
for you. I'm
then
so sorry.
he
I
was-
thought maybe this would be
and
like a
then-
written thing.
And then he was published in Living Art,
Yeah.
2016.
Sorry.
The book that Anthony wrote with his wife Shannon, called Turtly Devoted to You, was published in 2024. It focuses on turtles, the people who love them, and the people who I love them. That's twice.
No, it's on purpose.
Wow.
It looks like a typo.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony was named 2017 Editor's Choice for the
Colonia.
Thank you, Personality of the Year by Reptile Report. He co-created and hosts the Pondcast.
Yeah.
You've
This
got
is too
puns
much.
everywhere.
Stop it.
Anyhow,
Stop
he's
it.
amazing. He
This
got
is
a
too
BA from Rhode Island College. He played basketball there and went down and is the best team in history. He's shorter than me, which you could tell. And
That was about 100 pounds ago, that basketball.
he was recognized by Rhode Island House of Representatives with their Scholar Athlete Award. Without any further ado, please welcome Anthony.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Sometimes you submit a bio and you don't realize how much. Are you, David, are you stealing the clicker? Is there one? You can hear me.
So you can do it like that. Oh. There you go.
Boom. Boom. We're doing it. It's really happening. Hi. What time do I have until? What time do you want me to talk until? This is a group. You want to just filibuster it and just keep going? Let's go for it. I'm good. I'm not going to be too long, I promise. I just, I don't like to overstay my welcome. It's a thing, right? How awesome is everyone in this room? Seriously. Every single one of you, the fact that you're here makes you inherently awesome. And I really mean that, right? Mr. Foster, was it? I said it right as you were taking a bite. I recognized you when I walked in because I promise it's not that. It's not that. I'm not going to say the other thing. I'm not going to say, this is my mother. She's going to laugh at my jokes, just so you know. Mr. Foster, you came to one of my programs with the Land Trust for the kiddies. Did you bring any young kids? How awesome is that? I love it. That's what I love so much about this. In addition to, I talk about conservation all day, every day. It's my favorite thing. But a lot of it is talk. A lot of it is how could we find a way to really make a difference? This is making a difference, a huge difference. It's amazing. I just want to say that. It's really cool to see you in both places. I'm really supporting it. So I'm going to talk to you about turtles, but I'm not just going to talk about turtles. I'm going to relate it to the Land Trust, and I've had experience with the Land Trust, and there are some of my specific recent experiences that really kind of fit the work that everyone here cares so much about. I'm a Connecticut resident. I'll go to the next slide for this. I'm from Plainville, which is right in the middle of the state, and now I live in Wallingford, which is like an hour drive up the Merritt, which is not, it wouldn't be bad, but there's so many cars on the Merritt. Why is everyone from out of state on the Merritt? What is that about? Anyway, I work from home now, so I really love that. I've been obsessed with turtles since I was 5 years old. First love, never grew out of it. I don't know, it's weird, can't explain it. You guys probably get it though, right? You care about these things. So, started playing basketball, obviously was really tall, got recruited to go to college. No one in my family had ever gone to college before, and I made the really silly choice to go to school to become an art teacher because I really like my art classes too. It's okay. I've been obsessed with turtles and, the wild spaces that we love so much since I was little. They called me mega toddler in the pediatrician's office, so I wasn't that little. I was more looked like a 10-year-old when I was that age, 5 years old. But I never grew out of it, right? So I got out of college and I had a degree that I couldn't use to save turtles. And the more I kept thinking about that, the more frustrated I got. So I was able to find a group of like-minded people. Kevin Minto's here. Hi, Kevin. Kevin's a partner of mine. He's a like-minded person who's educated and brilliant, but doesn't have a degree in zoology or biology. So what do? How do we make a difference? Well, money is obviously a huge way, but also we have skills. So that's what my organization, the TurtleRoom, is built on. We are a group of concerned citizens that have skills and come up with really cool things like interactive maps. We actually have our own interactive map thing, but it's not as cool as yours. Not nearly as cool as yours. So anyway, stuff like that. And then I have a lot of my writing here. I do a lot of writing, as David was mentioning when he introduced me. So really been going hard on the book writing lately, which is really cool. I have a video to play, and I'm hoping it's going to play, and I'm hoping you can hear it. You ready? You're not ready. Okay. Woo! I don't think we can hear it. We're just going to go no music. Okay. So yeah, so this is me in the wild. This is what my normal life looks like. I travel a lot. This is a lot. There's Florida in here and a whole bunch of different places. I travel a lot. That's symbolic of me traveling. And it's all turtle related stuff. Side of the road sometimes, trying not to get hit by cars, trying not to get bit on the face by diamondback terrapins. Excuse me. That was a diamondback terrapin. This is an alligator snapping turtle, Baba Yaga, who is a local celebrity in Florida. Yeah, that's the end of that. Need a cough drop. Polycephaly. That's a turtle with two heads. And then those are McCord's box turtles. I'm going to tell you about them later. That's one of the rarest species on the planet. They are, well, I'll get to that in a second. Two-headed turtle is cool, right? Happens sometimes. Ripley's Believe It or Not. Okay, shameless plug. We did the same thing before. You know how to use the QR code. If you wanted to follow my YouTube channel, you can do that right now. Just saying. If you wanted to. You don't have to. It's okay. Just saying. Okay. I'd like to play a game. Now, keep in mind, please, that I'm a turtle nerd, okay? All day long, all day, every day, it's all turtles. So I'm going to be as surprised as you are. I made these slides, but it was several weeks ago now, so I don't even know what the answers are on these, but I'm going to quiz you, and you let me know. How many humans are there in the world? 8 billion? 8.2 billion humans. That's the right amount of zeros, right? How many giraffes are there? Giraffes are really rare. 50,000, I heard? 117,000. That's rare. That's really rare. Okay. How about elephants? Elephants are really rare. You gotta save the elephants. How many? 25,000? I'm sorry about the, what is this called? Cough drop. Thank you. That's why I bring him with me. Almost 500,000. But you see, the Asian elephants are much more rare. Okay. How about gorillas? So the eastern gorilla is much more rare than the western. And I believe there's subspecies here. Again, not a gorilla expert. I just play one on TV. Lions. Oh my. You thought there'd be more of those? These are low numbers. Some of these are really low. How about rhinos? 10,000? 27, but you look, there's only dozens of a couple of those, the Sumatran and the what is that? How's that pronounced? Javan? Did I pronounce Sumatran wrong? I probably did. Tigers? 4,500. Interesting tidbit. Any fans of Tiger King here? Yeah, thank you for laughing. That documentary was actually created by a turtle expert. Did you know that? A turtle conservationist? Eric Good? I won't say he's a friend necessarily, but he's an acquaintance. There's more probably tigers in captivity in Texas alone than there is in the wild. And all of these numbers I'm giving you, that's the number in the wild. How about pandas? Pandas are a really big, hot button issue for conservationists because it takes a lot of money and a lot of effort to raise and care for and protect a panda bear. Well, a panda. 1850. Now we're getting really low. And there's 300 in captivity. Okay, so how about McCord's box turtle? Never heard of it. My point exactly. How many McCord's box turtles are there in the wild? 100? Heard that? Kevin, how many McCord's box turtles are there in the wild? 0. 0. And all of these other species that I just showed you, that megafauna, do zoos care about them? Why? Because people go to see them, because they bring butts to the turnstiles. Now, I don't mean to say anything negative about my friends in the zoological field. I mentioned I was a little sad and angry that I didn't get myself a zoology degree, right? So I'm not, it sounds like I'm really bitter, but I'm not. The point is that when human beings care about something and know about something, it can make a really big difference, right? That's the point. So there are 0 McCord's box turtles in the wild, and there's only a few hundred in captivity. That's a species that I hatch every year. I'm very proud to say that. There are very few zoos that do that. There are some babies hatching out of the egg. First time ever in Connecticut. They're named after a veterinarian, Bill McCord, who actually lives about an hour from here in New York. And he's a dear friend of ours and a wonderful man who's done a lot for turtle conservation. Charles Darwin. Can anyone tell me the significance? I'm going to see if this works. Yeah, there we go. The significance of these birds next to him. Who can? I know you can. This is not the normal crowd that I speak to. So, extinct, okay. I'm sure they're endangered. Anyone else care to guess? That's not wrong. Yeah, it has to do with natural selection. David, what were you going to say? Correct. So you see the difference here in their beaks, right? So you know the whole story with the SS Beagle and the Galapagos Islands, right? Not only were the finches a big part, also the Galapagos tortoises were a big part of his, developing the theory of evolution. Because different islands have birds with different beaks based on what type of plants and seeds and all of that are there, what they're feeding on. Same thing with the tortoises. Kevin is a large tortoise expert. He can tell you all about it, but it's my time to talk, so he'll have to tell me how I did. There are tortoises with, a saddleback so they could reach their head up, all of that. Now, zoos care about tortoises. Why? Because they bring people through the turnstiles, the big tortoises, the Galapagos tortoises, the Aldabra tortoises. What they don't care about are the little turtles and the little finches that are just a little bit different, right? So what does that mean? What does that leave us with? I'll get to that. But that's where, from a turtle perspective, we come in. So I hatch a couple dozen of the world's most rare and endangered turtles every year. That's what gets me really excited. I have an amazing family. I love my job. I work for VCA. My main day job is working for VCA Animal Hospitals. We have one in Darien. I absolutely love my job. But I wake up every day because turtles exist and because I get to do this work that really, really excites me. So some of these species, this is a Pan's box turtle. This is a leaf turtle from the Ryukyu Islands, which is equidistant off the coast of Japan and Taiwan. Chinese box turtle. This is a lot of box turtles, and they're rare there just like they are here. Actually, they're a little more rare. And now, we have box turtles in Connecticut. The 2023 Wilton Land Trust annual report has a box turtle on the cover, and I was really excited to see a turtle both years, 23, 24. Thank you, David. You make me feel welcome, that's all. It's okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah. So those box turtles, just a little sidebar, this is not part of my presentation, but I knew it would come out at some point. They're being collected from places like Connecticut and shipped overseas to high buyers in the illegal pet trade. That's 100% happening. So, the geographic area, and it's just like here, right? So you say, well, I'm not getting into politics, but everyone in America loves this politician, right? From an outsider's perspective, or everyone in America loves that politician, right? We know that it's very much divided. It's the same thing in other parts of the world, so I just want to give that as a disclaimer. But there are certain parts of the world where traditional medicine and things like that have become, as populations of humans boom, 8.2 billion, they really put a lot of pressure on wild animals that are used for different reasons, because you think that if you eat this part of a tiger, it's going to make you perform better in the bedroom. Or if you eat this part of a bear, it's going to make you stronger. Or if you eat this part of a turtle, it's going to cure your cancer or make you live longer. That sort of thing. So lots of box turtles, lots of Asian box turtles here. And now that these turtles, like the McCord's box turtle, are extinct in the wild, there's a lot of demand for our turtles here from Connecticut. Spotted turtles, eastern box turtles, and the like. Obviously, bog turtles, the species that was on the first slide here tonight, is on the 2024 annual report, is another species. So yeah, I think here the only American species is this one right here, which is a Pacific pond turtle, which is it's California's only native freshwater turtle. So that's another one that we breed as well. So just trying to make more turtles because they're all gone or are going away very quickly. All right, so I want to tell you a story. This is my newest book. It's called The Great American Turtle Chase. And I went across the country in 8 days. And I thought that was the perfect amount to keep the pressure on, right? So it's not quite Burt Reynolds and Cannonball Run, but we were trying to see wildlife. And if you're trying to see wildlife and find as many species as you can across the country, you're going to have to stop. But if you're going to try to make it to the end of the country and get on a plane at LAX and get home before your wife divorces you, you need to keep it moving. So there's this constant juxtaposition, this push and pull between those two pressures, right? Now, why am I telling you about this? Also, in case you're wondering, the book is available on Amazon, and it's also the feature article in Reptiles Magazine this month, which is really cool. Yeah. Cover story. What? Hey. Anyway, I used to read that as a kid. I used to buy that magazine in PetSmart, and now it's yeah, anyway. That happened. I did that. Feels good sometimes. Thank you. Thank you. You didn't have to do that, but I'll take it. Thank you. So this is what it looks like. Route 10 conveniently goes across the entire country here, from Jacksonville all the way to Los Angeles. And it goes through one of the most intensely diverse biodiversity hotspots in the entire world. So we're talking Southeast Asia, right? I don't even know where else. Maybe South Africa's like a mini hotspot in that way. Somewhere in South America, this is as diverse as it gets in terms of species and diversity and all the things that I want to see. So you go to places, you try to find remote places, you go to the places where you know that these species are. So we're working with experts who do field work and find all these rare species in the wild. And we travel, well, that's a cool picture from Florida. That's that legendary alligator snapping turtle, Baba Yaga. So we basically went through anything we could. We went to every bayou, swamp, prairie, huge rivers. We have huge rivers in the Southeast, right? Not like here. And then you get to the west, the Southwest, and there's huge bridges that say blah, blah, blah river, and there's not a drop of water. It's we saw all of it, right? Everything that the U.S. had to offer. We saw turtles basking on beautiful man-made pipes in Louisiana with crawfish traps everywhere, man-made ditches. We saw amazing flaming smokestacks in Texas. It was beautiful. I'm being sarcastic. Thank you. This is Buffalo Bayou in Houston. Goes right through Houston. And you know how they say, if you want to find an interesting story, look up Florida Man and your birthday, and there'll be something where some guy in Florida did some crazy thing on your birthday, because there's always a Florida Man story. There's always a dead body in Buffalo Bayou. So the researchers there believe that their snapping turtles actually are man-eaters, because snapping turtles aren't really man-eaters, but theirs probably are, because there's human cadavers all up and down Buffalo Bayou. Who knew? That water's disgusting. Okay? There's going to be a theme here. There's a theme here. We get to Arizona. It's really dry. That was during the eclipse, actually. Remember the eclipse last April? So it was kind of hard to see, and not many turtles or lizards were out for various different reasons. This is at the end of a concrete culvert. Thought I had another photo of that now. Sea turtles swimming with, those are shopping carts. Yeah, and they're swimming alongside red-eared sliders, the most popular pet freshwater turtle in the world. They're like the Super Bowl, like 180 countries in every state. That's red ear slider. Now, their range is actually very small in the southern United States. But they're there swimming around, those freshwater turtles, right next to sea turtles. You can't make this stuff up. So as we go across the country trying to see as many species as we can, it brings us to these depressing places where the land has not only been altered, but it's been completely ruined by humans, right? That's the importance of what you do. I would be thrilled about this anywhere. If I was in Louisiana, I heard someone talking about what you guys were talking about tonight, I would be thrilled to be a fly on the wall, right? They're not doing this. They're not. I went to the Apalachicola National Forest. Sounds pretty cool, right? Sounds like a place where trees would be safe. Those trees are harvested. Stinks. We found turtles all over the road, run over. We booked a plane ticket. We put all this time and effort into everything, and I'm not complaining because the turtle's the one that's dead, not me. But it kind of stinks. It's a sobering reminder. You love these animals, you love these wild spaces, and the work that we do is so important, but it's also a reminder of how important it is. But sometimes we have to see really sad things and understand really sad things because we're the ones that care. We're the ones that show up to things like this because we care. That's the importance of land conservation. I kind of already said that, so I'm not giving you anything that you didn't already know. These animals are incredibly impacted by our behavior and what we do. And a lot of times, their direct conservation, which is more what I do, right? I'm working with turtles. You're here because you care about conservation. You are so many steps ahead of the game compared to what we traditionally try to do to save whatever animal species, right? That's what's so amazing about this. What people don't think about a lot is not only the habitat degradation, just completely, demolishing habitat, but also fragmentation. What's the difference? Yeah, and we do this thing where we drive through and we're like, oh, look at all the woods everywhere. This is great habitat. Those animals don't understand the concept of a road, and they cross again and again. What species is that? Correct. That would be the family, I think. Not a painted turtle, great guess. My first love, 5 years old, painted turtle. Eastern painted turtle. Cressemes picta picta. My wife gets so mad when I say the scientific names of turtles. Nobody's impressed, and you just sound stupid. She's very supportive. She really is. That's pretty much why we wrote a book together about this weird life that we live. Any other guesses? Eastern box turtle. Absolutely. Terrapene, Carolina. And I took this picture. Now, if you can see that truck in the distance, it's like an old truck. So it looks like I took this picture with a good camera in like 1985, but I didn't actually. This was just, 5-6 years ago, but I laid down in the road to get the right angle. These guys were like, what the heck is going on right now? This huge 7-foot dude in the road staring at a turtle. Anyway, I had to. It was perfect. This should be the cover of a book because it says a lot. It says a lot. What's that? I didn't have to what? I did have to lay in the road. It's a different angle. When you can get right down, like eye level with your subject, it makes a big difference as opposed to being, the 7-foot guy who's always getting this view. It doesn't work the same way. I did, yeah, whatever. This is important. Wherever you're going is not as important as this 100-year-old turtle that's crossing the road. Anyway, it's an eastern box turtle. Yep. There's a lot of variation. Anyone here familiar with diamondback terrapins? I know you are in the back. Diamondback terrapins are one of the most beautiful, and I'm sorry I don't have a slide with them. They're another Connecticut species. They kind of just show different, what we call phenotypes. And that's what you see here with this box turtle. That's a pretty yellow one. They're not always that yellow. Sometimes you find them really black. I'd bet my house, and I don't have a lot of money to be doing that haphazardly, but I would bet my house that this turtle is a male. The males are generally prettier. This is a very pretty turtle, a lot of yellow. But they come in all different varieties, just like our diamondback terrapins, both native species to Connecticut and to New Jersey where this was taken. And that's actually right next to diamondback terrapin habitat. That species lives in brackish water, so they're Their range goes all the way around the coast, from Cape Cod all the way down through Connecticut, down around Florida, and all the way to Texas. That's a good question. So there are a lot of species where you can count the growth rings, like with a tree, but it's different between species. It's more reliable for some than others. Some you can't do that. And after a certain age, you can't do that anymore. So about 17 years in North American wood turtles, which is another beautiful Connecticut species. We have a lot of great diversity even here in Connecticut. It's not just the southern United States. So I can just tell, I saw this turtle up close and I can kind of see it right now. The shell is kind of smooth. So, turtles, we don't even know necessarily how long they can live. We just know that it can be a really long time. But I've also seen shows like Perfect Strangers and others. So I know that sometimes when someone in the family loses their parakeet, you just go to the pet store and replace it real quick. So when I see that, this tortoise lived to 240 years, how many generations of humans took care of that tortoise? That one tortoise, you know what I mean? But, so, I can't help but be just a little bit skeptical, but there are reports of turtles and tortoises that live for a really long time. Awesome. So this is an intermediate musk turtle that we found in Alabama. And this is a brand new species that was described only 6-7 years ago. That was a really cool find. But the reason I had this slide up here is to just call out the fact that, I'm a turtle lover. Obviously, you can see that. But when we protect actual habitat, not only do we save the turtles, but we save all of the invertebrates and all the other reptiles and amphibians and birds and mammals and plants that utilize that space. So we really save everything. And that's true conservation. And for a lot of us animal lovers, it's taken us a really long time to realize that this is true conservation. And from the circles that I live in, that I kind of operate within, there's a lot of emphasis placed on specific types of turtles. People I work with care a lot about turtles, right? But we can do a lot more than just help individual animal groups if we can have the foresight that people like you have. So you're doing the real conservation work just by showing up here today. Okay. So I was going to do a live animal meet and greet. Before I do that, what questions can I answer? Thank you.
So, we have under our management call it 848
Yep.
habitat. The town has probably another 800. A lot. So would it make sense for us to be injecting, planting turtles?
Great question.
All this habitat to be conserved and it's sitting there, pretty much not being disturbed by humans.
Yeah.
Trails, there's tons of habitat, tons of streams, lots of fauna.
Yeah.
Would it make sense if we actually became recipient of replanting turtles that you and other turtle people would like to see?
Yeah.
So all we do is sit there and wait for the turtles to show up. We're going to be putting them in there.
Right. That's a great question. So I think everyone here heard, but I promised that I would repeat. So we've got a lot of acres that we're protecting in addition to what the town is protecting. Does it make sense to bring species like turtles here that we know are supposed to be here and would do well here? The short answer is yes, to me that makes sense. The longer answer is it's complicated. It's always complicated. Yeah. So bringing animals from outside ever in any circumstance is always scary. I almost fell over. Did you see that? Thank you. Yeah, that was 100 pounds ago. It's been a long time. I haven't been really working on the balance lately. So it's complicated for several reasons. You could introduce pathogens. Maybe that animal was in, someone had it for a couple weeks even, and then they had it with some fish from the pet store. Things happen, right? Yeah, but my turtles might even too, right? So, and then the fear is, what if we introduce some kind of pathogen that we don't even know exists yet, right? So there's a lot of fear around that. And then there's also genetics too. Where exactly did that turtle come from? And it's usually a state decision, state by state, and different states do things different ways. New Jersey would be more likely to say, yeah, take those turtles. We know they're Jersey turtles. Put them over here. We kind of know the general place they were collected. Put them over here. That sounds good. Connecticut's a little more hesitant to do that. So that's the interesting piece about what we do. Like, our organization has in situ projects, which means in the wild projects to conserve animals. We work with New Jersey Fish and Wildlife. We work with Pennsylvania Fish and Boat. So even in those experiences, those are two states that border each other, and their philosophies on how to handle such things differ greatly, and we kind of work within that to kind of politely push and ask and see what we can come up with. But actually bringing animals back into the wild is like the pipe dream, pie in the sky, best case scenario for people who work with assurance colonies like I do. But it happens very rarely. Even the McCord's box turtle, it's gone. We're hatching them. Let's put them back, right? What would happen to those animals? They get poached right away. So you also have to have areas where they won't be taken. Poached, not the eggs, not like a fancy breakfast, but very fancy these days with the eggs. Sorry, I had to. But taken out of the wild and sold on the black market. 100%. There's huge price tags even on our turtles here from Connecticut. So much so that we have bog turtles in this part of the state. You will not get someone to tell you exactly where the bog turtles are. You won't. Because the second someone knew where they were, they'd be gone. And that's what we're up against. And now it's starting to happen with those diamondback terrapins, those eastern box turtles, those wood turtles. It's happening a lot. Turtles are the #1 most endangered vertebrate group on the planet. Rivaled only maybe by like large apes. Not humans, yeah. Yeah, so the question is about radiated tortoises in Madagascar. So over the past few years, there have been confiscations of, 50,000 cumulative radiated tortoises. So there's 4 species of tortoises. I'm going to show you one that are endemic to Madagascar, the island off the coast of Africa. And those tortoises, it doesn't matter. There's also plowshare tortoises there. And conservationists will actually use a Dremel to completely deface the shell. They'll write numbers, huge numbers on the tortoises to make them have less value. It's like this tortoise, basically saying this tortoise came from a conservation effort. And people don't care. They still poach them and sell them. Yeah. I'm sorry. So in the video that I showed, there were some tortoises. They're black and they have yellow sun streaks on them. So it's radiating pattern. So that's the name of the species, is the radiated tortoise. Astrokelys radiata. Take that, wifey. Right? Anyway. Question here? Yeah. Oh my gosh, my favorite thing. Yeah, so the question is about hatching turtles and tortoises. It's very different species to species. So I have some species that might hatch in 45 days. And then I have a species that I'm going to show you today that requires a diapause. Anyone know what that is? Suspended animation. So the wild can be harsh, right? We know that it is here. So the Connecticut turtles have a very short incubation period because we have a short period. I have a turtle I'm going to show you today who hasn't eaten in 6 months. He's been living in my greenhouse. He looks great. He's actually kind of chubby, but he hasn't eaten in 6 months. I know because I haven't fed him. He's been sleeping, but now it's gotten warm and the greenhouse is getting a lot of sun, so I brought him here. It's okay. It's actually better for him. So anyway, in some of these harsh environments, they either hatch fast or sometimes they'll take a really long time to hatch and they'll be warm and then cold and then warm. So we have to really, it's a little bit of trial and error at first, but we have to really be tied into that native habitat and what happens there. So I have a tortoise here where their eggs have to warm up for 4 to 6 weeks and then cool down for 4 to 6 weeks and then warm up again for the duration. And that second warm up is when the egg starts to develop. So it knows exactly what's happening. Think of a chicken egg. Anyone know how long it takes a chicken egg to hatch? 21 days, 20 days, something like that. I'm not a chicken expert either, but I've looked that up for my turtle talks. This tortoise, the one that I have here today, took over 300 days to hatch. Pretty cool. Almost an entire year in the egg. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Who are you? This is my mother. She wanted everyone to know that I have incubators. I do. Everything has to be perfect. Humidity, temperatures, everything. Great question. Is it 9? I think it's 9. Not. No, because there's multiple sea turtles. Yeah. Yeah. There are because we get leatherbacks, we get greens, and we get all sorts of cold sun stuff. Yeah. So I think it's 9 freshwater, and then we have the sea turtles as well that like kind of visit, some more often than others. Yeah. But we have stink pot musk turtles. We have common snapping turtles. The snapping turtle you saw in the picture that we brought out with the kids, that turtle is actually under the ice right now at my house, but that's an alligator snapping turtle, which is a different species, which gets much larger, about 250 pounds, whereas our snapping turtles in Connecticut do get large, but they get about 45 pounds in the wild, maybe as much as like 84 is the largest I've seen, and a really healthy captive one. They eat better in captivity. Was there a question here too? Yeah. Great. Yeah. Yeah. What should you do if you see a turtle in the road? I'll tell you what I would do. I would pick up the turtle and help it cross the road in the direction in which it was going. People overthink it sometimes. They say, there's no water over there. And then they take a turtle and they move it across town or whatever to another place. That can be tricky. Think what's happening with the bird flu right now. It's not always a good idea to move animals around to new places, right? There might be repercussions, underlying repercussions that we haven't even considered. So pick it up, cross the road. If you feel comfortable and you wanted to do that in the direction it was heading, please be careful. I've heard stories of people getting hit by cars trying to help turtles. Like we live in an age now where everyone drives like this. So you just have to be careful. Snapping turtles, be very careful. When you do it a few times, it's funny. I work in the veterinary field, but I've never been like a technician or a vet. So I'm very comfortable handling big snakes, snapping turtles that want to kill me. Love it, no problem. Dogs and cats? Your dogs and cats are crazy behind the scenes, let me just tell you. So snapping turtles are easy. If you hold them, they have a very reduced plastron, which is the belly, the bottom shell, and you can just kind of grab them and hold them there. You might get scratched up a little bit. If you don't get scratched, you're not doing it right. And you can hold the back of the top shell, the carapace, like this, and that usually works out great. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you can use a snow shovel or something, or a blanket or something like that. We're just kind of try to shoo it, but they don't always shoo the way you want them to shoo. I had one here, and then I'll go back to the back. Yes, sir. Great question. Turtles and tortoises, what's the difference? Well, it's complicated again. I'm the worst, aren't I? I don't like to speak in absolutes, right? So turtles are generally found more around water, particularly when we talk about the turtles that we have here. But if you went to Europe, they would call our painted turtles painted tortoises. Everything's a tortoise. So it's a common name, right? Which is why us that are really into it like to use scientific names, because then there's no confusion or anything. But in a general sense, tortoises usually have more elephant feet and they walk more upright and they usually are in more arid environments. Turtles are usually more aquatic. However, there are quite a few exceptions to that rule. Tortoises that love water, the Aldabra giant tortoise loves to swim, even though it's a huge, massive tortoise. Those are the big ones you see at the zoo. They swim really, really well. So there's a lot of misconceptions as well. That's a great question. Yes, in the back, sir. Mm-hmm. That is a tremendous question. How do turtles stack up against other animals in terms of their adaptability to an urban environment? The answer is unfortunately not well. So can they? Yes. Do they? No. We were just talking about a book, a zoology book that was what was taught to zoology students in the 50s, 60s, and as recent as the 70s. And as I like to say, it kind of compares turtles to cockroaches. They've been here forever, so they're gonna be here forever. They've been here long before, since the most primitive dinosaurs, and they're gonna be here long after man. That's not the case, and it's because of man, unfortunately. That habitat fragmentation, they don't understand. They cross roads. A turtle that gets hit by a car has no idea what happened. That car is moving so fast, it doesn't even see it. It's like a different world, right? Like a car might as well be the weather. It's this huge, big, ambiguous thing that impacts, but it doesn't even know what happened. There was one other piece I wanted to add, but now I think it went out of my head. Darn. Please do. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. And also how long they reproduce for. The turtle could live to 100 years, and you take that one female who produces several clutches a year of eggs, and those clutches can have several eggs each. Sometimes with some species like diamondback terrapins, it could be 11, 12, 13 eggs in a clutch, and they lay several clutches. You hit that one female gets hit, or that one snapping turtle that lays 32 eggs in a clutch gets hit. She lays a couple clutches a year, and she lives to 100 years old. Think about the amount of turtles you just removed from the environment from that one turtle that got hit. Yes? Yeah. Is this a turtle that's been hit, or okay? Because like we get into some crazy stuff. We like take eggs out of a turtle that's been hit by a car. Like, it gets a little messy, but we've done a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, and you're worried that because there are so many subsidized predators, to the point of the gentleman in the back there, that there are more raccoons than ever because they do well in a human-led world. That's not good for turtles. Raccoons are so great at finding turtle nests. So we have those subsidized predators as well, and there are people that will like save raccoons that are doing really, really well. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Oh, that's where conservation gets really hairy, because everything that we do impacts everything else. Butterfly effect, right, Mom? We were talking about that on the way here. We drove together. So it's not a surprise, right? Anyway, so yeah, what you can do, you can put a little cage that won't impact the sun coming in a lot. Generally, if those eggs can make it to the first rain without being found, they're gonna make it through. That's the good news. Predators usually find turtle nests within the first couple nights, and every subsequent night that those eggs make it, the odds jump up exponentially. And if they make it through that first rain, then it's a really good sign that they're gonna make it full term. No, that's a good. I'm like, I don't know. Well, I get what you're saying. That's not a bad idea. They also just can't get too wet. So, like, if you water them and then it rains, I don't know. It could be, simulate a really, really wet week or two, and then maybe there'll be issues with that. I'm not sure. Yes. Yeah. It's a great question. Yeah. That's a great question. It's a great question. The problem is that the turtles, we can't talk any sense into them. Hey, things are pretty bleak. What I need you to do is just use this space, right? So turtles naturally do things that are not good for their survival. So a male is hanging out and he's met a few of the females in this pond, and now today he's going to feel adventurous, and for whatever reason, he's going to go out and he's going to adventure and try to find a different pond so that he can spread, his likeness through the gene pool. Real success in the animal world. So it's more than they utilize more than they necessarily need. So could you maybe create some kind of wall to like keep them in and they'd be okay? The answer is yes. But oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, but not necessarily. So like I do, I've done a lot of wood turtle research in Pennsylvania and New York, which is a native species in Connecticut. Those turtles, they spend a certain time of the year in the stream, and then they spend another time of the year on land. And sometimes when they go on land, they just go. And like, we've got a radio transmitter beeping, and we're chasing after this turtle that's not moving. And it's like, are you kidding me? This turtle literally just moved a mile for who knows what reason. And then we do the research and we see this turtle moves a mile every time, a full mile, to just go from that stream to where it likes to be on land. And we're looking, we're like, there's nothing different about this land than the land that we were at 2 seconds after we left the stream. But here's the turtle again. We had one turtle, the researcher would wait until in New York, would wait until I was there. And he called this turtle Anthony's girlfriend because he would always wait to go and visit her with me. And he knew, like, at the time I was a little more sprightly. Like, the young sprightly guy's going to come out here, and we're going to go find his girlfriend. And I'm following this 70-year-old man up the mountain, and I'm in my 20s, and I couldn't keep up with him. It's like, it's a lot of work to be out there actually doing this research in the field. But yeah, they move a lot. They do, more than they should, more than they need to. I shouldn't say more than they should, but more than they probably need to. Let's see a turtle. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. All right, so I'll try to go relatively quickly here. I won't take all your time up, but you tell me. Tell me if you're getting bored. I brought 5 turtles. 4 of them are on the board. Which one would you like to see first? I'm going to save the mystery one for last. I do, and that's going to be last. But here's the thing I'm going to say. My big alligator snapping turtle is at home under ice. And I don't do this all the time. This is not what I do. I'm not like an animal educator. I have a friend who actually brought exotic animals on Jimmy Fallon's show. That was his job. So that guy had a big, sexy version of every animal he had. That's not me. I'm trying to create baby turtles for the next generation. And I live in Connecticut. And electricity and heat and acreage, it is not easy to come by in Connecticut, so I specialize in small turtles. So I'm going to show you a lot of small turtles. I'm not going to break out a 500-pound Galapagos tortoise for you. Thank you. I'm insecure. Can you tell? Yeah. Okay. I like to give that disclaimer because it's like, oh, it's another little one. But I'll bring it around so you can see it, and I'll show you. So which one are we doing first up here? The one on the left. I knew you were going to say that. All right. So this is Mojo. Mojo is a black-breasted leaf turtle. This is the first species. This is the first book I wrote. This is the subject. This is the turtle that turned me into an author. And Mojo is one of the most prolific black-breasted leaf turtles in captivity in the entire world. He produces a bunch of babies every year. And they have those amazing owl eyes. Why do you think that is? So they can see. All the better to see you with, my dear. Because they live in a low-light environment. Think of like an owl, right? Nocturnal animals, they have large eyes. This is not a nocturnal animal, but it's also shaped like a leaf. What is that about? Why is it shaped like a leaf? Absolutely, camouflage. That thing looks like a leaf. Totally. And there's actually, it escapes me. I wrote all about it in the book, but that was like 10 years ago now. There's actually a species of tree that produces leaves that look just like this. This turtle is from northern Vietnam and southern China. There you go, Mom. She's going to yell at me in the car if I don't give her a good look. And it's an endangered species. And this turtle is still poached from the wild. It's still smuggled into the United States. And I often talk about, like, okay, I've produced this species a lot. I am the best breeder of this species in the US. I hatch more than all the zoos combined, most likely. And they're still poached and smuggled into this country. So I have to ask myself, is all the work that I'm doing actually making a difference? And the answer is I don't know. This turtle, I've had this turtle for about 11 years, and he was an adult when he came to me, so he's probably about 20 years old. Yeah. I have some of these that are in their 40s. I'd say on average, I probably produce about 10. This was the best year, though. I produce a lot more than that. So I've sent these to zoos. I've sent them to other private breeders. The goal is just to produce more of them. So, yeah. Oh, great question. So some of these species that I work with, I mentioned how they're small. Small species lay a small amount of eggs, which makes them a lot more susceptible to human-caused issues that are going to cause them to go extinct, right? This species normally lays 1 egg, sometimes 2. Okay? On very rare occasions, only maybe a handful of occasions that's ever been documented, they've laid 3. The record-size clutch happened in my basement in Connecticut, and that was a 4-egg clutch 2 times. It's only been documented twice, so that's a scientific paper. That's the other cool thing about working with rare turtles. When something like that happens, you get to write about it. The eggs are huge compared to the turtle. So you're talking about like a 3-inch egg that fills up like the whole inside of the turtle. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And they're very difficult to hatch. So the eggs, normally a turtle egg likes to be warm. It likes to be in the 80s, sometimes even up to 90 for some of the tortoise eggs, sometimes more for turtles from South America, that sort of thing. I've incubated these eggs as low as like the 60s, high 60s, low 70s. So anyway, that's Mojo. So he's done for the night. Good job, Mojo. You did great. He's going to go back to his girlfriend's. That's another turtle. I don't think he's eaten in 4 months, maybe 5 months. It's totally okay. He's not sick. That's by design. Nope. That's by design. I promise. All right, who's next? Come on. Left to right, okay. Spider tortoise. This is a small one, but this is a big deal. Okay, this is a spider tortoise from Madagascar. The adults that produced this baby came from Zoo Knoxville, which is one of the best turtle zoos. It's probably, in terms of the AZA zoos, it's probably the best turtle zoo in the entire country. In terms of species count, it's the second best because Iguanaland has the most turtle species. But this is a spider tortoise from Madagascar. They're not big. They top out around 4 or 5 inches. They have a hinge like a box turtle, and they are an absolutely incredible species. This is a captive bred baby. I would venture to guess that these are the only ones that ever be produced in Connecticut, unless Dr. Zavikian did before he moved to Georgia. But he was a dentist who bred a lot of tortoises, but I'm not sure if he ever did these before he moved. They're awesome, right? Yeah. So I got the adults 14 years ago, and they just started producing a couple years ago. And that was with me doing everything I could to try to get them going as fast as possible. So, no, this is a baby, but it's not like a fresh baby. This is a year old. So that's after a year of really rapid growth with me trying to feed it as much as it'll eat. You can see they're the cutest, and they have the grumpiest little faces. They're just so, like, why are you so mad, little guy? I mean, I know that your species is critically endangered. I'd be mad about that too. Anyway. But yeah, so with me feeding the adults that were babies when I got them as fast as I could and growing them as fast as I could, it still took 11 years for them to reach maturity and start producing their own eggs. In the wild, that might be 25 years. Yeah. That is the ultimate goal, but it's complicated. It takes time. So it's possible with some of these species, I might be dead, and the progeny of these species one day might go to repopulating Madagascar when the species is gone, because the species will probably be extinct in the next 30 or 40 years. So if extinct in the wild, but there's very few people breeding them as well. So that's a great distinction, a great point. But yeah, why are these extinct? So, yeah, some people will actually like pierce through these turtles and take out their liver and eat them. They also are really sought after as pets because they're small. They're only 4 or 5 inches, and they're really beautiful. So there's a lot of reasons why people want to have these. I mean, I don't mind sharing my life with these beautiful things. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, turtles, I believe the phrase used for turtles in the US for a very long time is good eating. So people ate turtles for a really long time here. They're a really important part of the diet. Campbell's soup. Campbell's sold turtle soup. Okay, don't kill me, but I actually ate turtle soup in New Jersey one time. I'm not a vegan. Anyone here a vegan? You're the winner if you are, right? So I love cows. Cows are really nice. If it's sustainable, okay, right? I don't hate cows, but I eat them. Does that make me a bad person too? Anyway, turtles are a very popular delicacy throughout much of the world. These guys don't get very big. They don't make much of a meal, but you'd be surprised. Probably red-eared sliders, but they also sold in the. I assume you're talking about like dime stores and things like that, like Woolworths and different places that used to sell them. There were usually red-eared sliders. There were also South American river turtles that were popular as well, and yeah, that's why the sale of turtles under 4 inches was outlawed in the 1970s because kids started putting small turtles in their mouths, and I believe there was a young girl who was the daughter of a politician who got sick, and that's how that law happened. But I mean, put any animal or any animal excrement in your mouth, you know? If a kid eats dog poop and gets sick, we're not going to get rid of all the dogs. I'm sure that's happened, but why would anyone do that? Well, why would anyone put a turtle in their mouth? But it happens. I've seen it. Okay, we're going down the line. All right, next up is the star of the show that I talked about first, and he's all up in his shell. Great. Come on, wait. Oh, did you hear that? Do it again. In the microphone. Did you hear it? He's so mad at me. Okay, so this is Rascal, named by my 8-year-old daughter, Madalena. So Rascal is a McCord's box turtle. Now this turtle's not coming out of his shell, so it's not going to be very exciting, I guess. Darn. Anyway, I'm going to show you something. So Rascal's a box turtle, so that means he has a hinge. So that means when he's scared, he can close his shell all the way. Can you see that? The hinge allows for the closing of the shell, and that's the same thing that happens with our eastern box turtles here in Connecticut. Painted turtles can't do that. Bog turtles can't do that. Oh, you coming out, buddy? Yeah, a little bit. Oh, what do you mean? Like pets? Oh no, mine aren't. I like when my turtles hate me, when they pee on me or they hiss at me or they want to bite me. I love that because that's acting like a wild turtle. Yeah. Some people do kind of domesticate their turtles a little bit. Maybe they raise ones that have a little bit special needs that will give them a disadvantage in the wild, that sort of thing. So we're probably domesticating them, but at a much slower rate than say dogs or cats or foxes or that sort of thing. But yeah, that's a great question. I like my turtles to act naturally because, I want them to go back into the wild one day if the world can change. But yeah, this is the species right now. You're looking at a turtle, a species that's completely extinct in the wild and only has a couple hundred in captivity. The National Zoo has some. There's a handful of zoos in the entire country. That's it. No, this is a mature male, but just mature. So maybe I call him like a teenager male. A large male might weigh 4 times the size of this one, but he's great question. He's about 3 years old. Yeah, he's a younger one. Yeah. We don't even know. Yeah, we don't even know. So for a long time, no one even knew where McCord's box turtles lived in the wild. They're a new species. They were only described 30 years ago. And by the time they were described, they were rare. But a decade or two before, they were so common that farmers used to pick them up and throw them at their cows when they wanted to make their cows move. That's a true story. But then, the markets grew so much with the population, and then that was it. So he's starting to come out of his shell a little bit now, just as he's going away. You are such a rascal. That's his name. Oh my gosh. What a mess. You notice I'm changing gloves every time, just trying to do the best I can to not cross-contaminate. So I brought 2 of the next ones just because they don't always like to come out of their shell. I didn't expect he'd be the one to do that, so that's why I only brought him. But also, most of my turtles are sleeping right now. So I brought 2 of these. These are Vietnamese pond turtles. Vietnamese pond turtles are extinct in the wild as well, functionally extinct at least. Now, they're normally black. They're just a black turtle. I want you to take a look at these when I bring them around, and you tell me if these are a black turtle. So these are extinct in the wild, 100% Vietnamese pond turtles, but they're a genetic mutation, which the nerd in me just thinks is cool. So these popped out, and I thought, wow, those are some of the coolest looking turtles I've ever seen in my life. Remember, they're just supposed to be black. So this turtle lives in Vietnam. For a long time, I think the only one that had been seen in the wild was 2013. There was an effort to bring some animals that were hatched in Europe back to Vietnam to release them, but I haven't heard an update on that project in a couple of years. Yeah, it's like the question here in the front from the nice lady in the front is, are they albino? So it's like albinism. It's a recessive, actually it's not recessive. It's very interesting, the genetics when you get into it. It's actually a dominant mutation. So if you bred this to a normal, they'll come out looking like this, which is just insanely cool. The things that you can find, science, you know. But it is like albinism where they're just lighter than they should be, and it is genetic, and it's just the weirdest thing you'll ever see. So, no, these are babies. These were hatched this year. The adults get up to be maybe 6 to 8 inches normally. The largest one ever recorded, ever, lives in my basement in Wallingford, Connecticut. And she's about 11 inches. She's a big turtle. These were hatched this past summer, so they're probably 6 months old. I know, I thought these ones wouldn't come out of the shell. Isn't that cool? I know. You little rascals, I love you guys. These guys make me so happy. So normally these turtles have a transverse bar across their eye like Kermit the Frog, but they don't. They have a total round eye like that leaf turtle up on the screen. So it's really interesting that this is a species, but sometimes in science, crazy things happen that you just wouldn't account for. Yeah. That is a great question. Am I feeding them what they would naturally eat? No. I try to, but it's just basic, you know, like calories and then, you know, the makeup of those calories, what are they normally eating? So some species are specialists that eat mostly snails, and some species, you know, like snapping turtles from Connecticut. Any idea what their number one part of their diet is? I hear a lot of protein. 70% of their diet is actually aquatic plants. So we look at the science to see, and then you try to formulate a diet based on that. But usually we use pelleted diets like you'd use for, you know, most animals, but then supplement to get us to where we need to be in terms of, you know, protein and plant content and stuff like that. These are great. That's a great question. Correct, yeah. And that's the other issue, right? So the best way to introduce is to send hatchlings back to the range country so they don't have any bad habits, right? So you raise these up, hatch babies, send them back to the range country, or even better, ship eggs back and then hatch them there so they've never been exposed to anything except where they're going to live. But yeah, all these things, again, remember I said bringing animals back into the wild, it's complicated. It's not easy, and there's so many different pros and cons that you have to weigh, right? Anything that we can do from a science perspective, right? Anytime you have an experiment, you want to limit the amount of interference, the amount of things that could sway your outcomes, right? It's the same thing. Anything that could make it a bad outcome, you want to try to eliminate. Okay, so now it's time for the last turtle. Here comes this. Now it's, again, I told you, my big one's asleep, so this is a smaller snapper, but I hope you'll still think it's cool. This turtle has not eaten for 6 months, and it's usually pretty angry, so I'm probably gonna get peed on. If he gives us a good show, he's probably gonna rip my glove off. You know, like, oh, hold on, turtles. I've got turtles making a run for it. Come on, guys. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys showed up, man. I'm gonna bring you next time. New glove. Occupational hazards. Here we go. Now this turtle lives in the swampy depths. I didn't wash it off or anything. The thing hasn't eaten for 6 months. I'm not gonna like scrub it with a toothbrush and make it go through all that. So here goes nothing. It is a small snapping turtle, but it's not like one that you've ever seen before. This is a common snapping turtle. Same species that lives in Connecticut, but this is an albino. Now, he's covered in mud, so he's going to look a little darker than he is. But if you look closely, like a rat that you buy at Petco or something, this is a yellow turtle with red eyes. This is an albino snapping turtle. Why do I have it? For this, right? I breed turtles to make sure that they don't go extinct. Common snapping turtles don't need that help from me. However, having something like this to show makes a difference, makes a different impact than those little turtles I had. You want one of these? I know people, I'll hook you up. What's that? Yeah. Snapping turtles are known for that big dinosaur-like tail. And I mentioned, turtles have been around since the primitive dinosaurs. How long ago did T-Rex live? Any idea? Yeah, that's good. 65 million is what I would say. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm not a paleontologist. You might know better than me. Or maybe it's both. Maybe the answer is both. Most recent time, 65 million years ago. How long ago did turtles really become turtles like we know them today? 200 million years ago. 3 times almost the amount of time since T-Rex has been gone. So we're talking the dinosaurs like Stegosaurus that lived a really, really, really long time ago. That's when turtles became turtles. So dinosaurs are still alive. They're just smaller. He doesn't have a name. They all have numbers. Maybe you should name them. I have about 500 turtles. Sorry, just saying. Yeah, be careful because he will bite. How old? 3 years, maybe 4 years. He's pretty small. They can grow a lot faster than this, but this is more like the speed at which it would grow in the wild. Because this turtle lives in my greenhouse, and like I said, it sleeps for 6 months. So, yeah. That's a great question. I haven't been bitten by a common snapping turtle before. They generally hold on, and it hurts, from what I hear and from what I see. They're pretty intelligent. Yeah, but it's a different type of intelligence. They see and smell and taste things in a way that we can't really fathom. Dogs do too, like smell things in a way that we can't really wrap our head around. You can target train them, you can clicker train them, for sure, but yeah. Turtles are not nocturnal. Some species are nocturnal. A lot of species are crepuscular. Some are just diurnal, the ones that you see up on logs basking. But it also varies depending on the season as well. So sometimes they might be diurnal, where they just come out in the warmest part of the day when it's cold. Like right now, the turtles are out right now. So it gets up to 50 degrees, the sun's out, turtles will come up in certain areas and bask, but those same turtles, when it's 100 degrees, might come out in the morning and then just at night and not in the middle of the day. Yeah. So it just depends on the time of year and the species. Yeah, totally red eyes. This is an albino. It doesn't look it because he's got mud on him and stuff. Yeah, they're really amazing. He's got a little chicken skin. But I mentioned, so if you see a snapping turtle, right, look at that belly. That's a really small shell. And that's part of the reason why these turtles are so angry. They're angry because they know that if I'm a bird right now, I'm just pecking at these little soft parts. So this turtle's got to be as tough as it can be to let me know that it means business. It's the first time for everything. I said I haven't been bitten by one, right? Yeah. Hasn't eaten for 6 months, and look at all the energy. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, and I'd be cranky. Well, he's cranky when he eats and when he doesn't eat, and yeah. Turtles, you can keep these warm year-round, and they'll just get fat, and they'll keep eating, and they'll be happy to a point. My philosophy is that turtles really need to live as naturally as possible. So that box turtle that gets rescued and ends up at the nature center in town, they really shouldn't be kept warm and on display all year. You really need to cool them for half the year because that's what that's a natural part of their biology, right? It's like us, like maybe I can not sleep for the next 3 days, but would it be good for me? It's probably best if I actually take the sleep that I need and that I normally get. What questions can I answer? Yeah. They do, yeah. Yeah, they do. What's really interesting, so I helped out with a study here in Connecticut where we actually used common snapping turtles and we took blood from their tail. It's really easy to get blood from a common snapping turtle compared to other turtles. And we also took clippings from their nails to learn more about the contaminants in our waterways. Mostly we were working around the Quinnipiac River. The reason we use the turtles is because the contaminants in the water can kind of move around, you know? They can kind of come and go. But the turtles tell a story that's much more complete because they've been in the environment, and if there are remnants of whatever we're looking for, it'll be within the turtles. Is that like the Oscars? Am I done? Thanks, man.